let's have this conversation. I talked a lot about artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT. But what I haven't talked about is that I created my own ChatGPT specifically for teachers, parents, and students to give them a guide to how to integrate the standards for mathematical practices. Now, if you are in California and you're like, I don't want to hear anything about learning and math, just pause, stop. I want you to hear what is important about the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, that state test. When students take the mathematics test, they aren't just doing computational math. They have to do what we call avenues of thinking. So, thinking about what we do with the mathematics. So, with that, they also have to know what type of tools to use, how to talk about the mathematics. And I have decided, well, I didn't just decide, I created a chat GPT specifically to help US teachers as principals to provide training for teachers and parents to help your students at home. Now, if you are older and your parents are allowing you to use the chat GPT, make sure that you're using it to help you learn and not doing the work for you. Because there are some ethics around allowing your brain to do some of the thinking. So we're going to jump in to ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you the ChatGPT guide that I created for the standards for mathematical practices. Now, I'm in my own ChatGPT using the OpenAI platform. What I want to show you is that you can, if you don't have 4.0, meaning you don't pay the $20 a month, you won't be able to do this. But even if you don't, you can use my ChatGPT. So this is ChatGPT. I created a Math Practices Guide here. And yes, you can see that I created a principal mentor one. That's another day. But this one, when I click on it, this is what shows up. This is public. I'm going to share the link in the description so you can go right to it. If you haven't created an OpenAI account, just create one using your personal Google account. Yes, you can create one with your teacher ID or your teacher Google account, but you may want to keep your information, especially if you transfer to a different school district. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you that this is my guide. I created this with the knowledge that I wanted to give you some questions or things to think about. So this one says, how can I integrate standards for mathematical practices with my third grade math standards? So we're just going to click on it. It's going to give you some information. So integrating the standards for mathematical practices with third grade math standards involves creating a learning environment that not only focuses on the specific content goals, but also develops students' broader mathematical thinking. Now it's listing all of the mathematical practices. Now I am aware that the three avenues of thinking are mathematical practice 2, 7, and 8. Number 1 is what all students need to do first. So let's just look at it. I'm just going to just point this out, making sense of the problem and persevering in solving them. But students can think either through standard 2 or math practice 2, 7, or 8. And I'm going to tell you that they should always be doing 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's another day. I did go over that in another video, but this one, let's just look at what it gives you. It says design activities that emphasize SMPs, create problem-solving tasks. Now, if you have a product, a resource, some of you call it curriculum. The curriculum in the state of California are actually the state standards and mathematical practices. But what I wanted you to see is that this information, the standards for mathematical practices, and the product that your school district created for you probably have them listed in there. But if they don't, you can go in here and say, this is the assignment. You can copy it. Literally, you can now, if you have 4.0, upload a PDF and say, how can I use these standards for mathematical practices with this document? So let's grab one of those documents and try it out. I grabbed a PDF on the web, on the World Wide Web, or a URL on the internet that is a solution, well, 4-page worksheet. It's a PDF. I'm going to show it to you. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. So this one is talking about pocket money during the summer. Sam helps his dad in the garden for 4 weeks. He helps for 3 days each week. There's a whole bunch going on here. And now, of course, it says it's in pounds, but that's okay. You know what? You can have those conversations with your students or change this whole assignment to the dollar. But for this situation, we're just using it. And what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to upload this from the download. It's going to upload it. And I'm actually going to say, use this PDF to show me how to use the SMPs. I'm going to tell it. One, now I'm going to use the avenue. It says look for and express regularity and repeated reasoning for 7, for 8. Look for and make use of structure. Now I'm going to say 7. And remember, I told you you should always use 3, 4, 5, and 6. So students could use 8, look for and express regularity and repeated reasoning, or reason abstractly and quantitatively. I'm not saying you don't need to use them all. There's this myth, but students always should be able to construct a viable argument. They may not do it right away. Model the mathematics. So this PDF is modeling, either using a graph or a grid, and then use appropriate tools strategically. That doesn't always mean manipulatives that you can touch. It could be something else, like just drawing some things out. Attend to precision. That means lining up meaning if you are drawing a grid, it's not all over the place. And you as a teacher, if you write on a interactive whiteboard, a Promethean board, or even though just a whiteboard, we'll even say chalkboard, and you're writing all over the place, you are confusing your students. You need to attend to precision too. So I'm just going to pause and say that. So use the PDF to show me how to use the SMPs 1, 7, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the lesson. Let's see what happens. Now it's going to scan the PDF. Searching my knowledge. It's taking a moment to do this. And now it's done it. I don't know what's going to happen, but now I'm hoping. Okay. Well, encourage students to use the problem context, earning pocket money. This is mind-blowing. I can't. Earning pocket money through different payment options. Prompt them to think about different strategies to calculate each option and compare them. Make sense of the problem. Look for and make sense of structure. And I told you, you only need to use 2, 7, or 8. It doesn't mean you shouldn't. I think you should go back and do this over and say, now do 2, and then now do 8. Because if you think that students should only look at math concepts the way you learned it, shame. Because their minds are malleable and they are working exponentially. We kind of are set in our ways. Like there are ways that I like to do math. Let them figure out many avenues of thinking. And avenues of thinking are 2, 7, and 8. Construct a viable, let's look for or make sense of structure. Guide students to recognize patterns and structures within the problem. For example, they can observe the double pattern in option 3 or the consistent daily rate in option 1. Identify these structures can simplify their. I'm so mind blown because I did this. I have not done this PDF before. Construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. Facilitate a discussion where students argue for the option they think is best for Sam. They should justify their choices based on their calculations. I'm just going to tell you, if I was still in the classroom, I would literally be using a presentation in Google. And I would tell each group to grab a slide on the same one, write out their argument, and then have them share out. Do you know kids would put pictures on there? They would be creative. That's called an edu protocol. Like I'm fully enamored with this. Now, model with the mathematics. Ask students to represent the problem using mathematical models such as tables, diagrams, or equations. They can help them visualize on that presentation, on paper, somewhere. Use appropriate tools. Provide tools like multiplication squares, calculators, graph. That's a tool. Graph paper. Tool. Simple as that. Doesn't have to be the hands-on manipulatives. Attend to precision. Stress the importance of precise calculation and clear communication in your solution. Now, I'm going to argue precision is the lining up of the grid, where everything goes, that as well. Ensure they are accurately calculating the total money for each option and clearly presenting their findings, perhaps in a table, lining it up, or in a written explanation. I am aware that it's a lot to look at. So if I was a teacher, I know that first of all, repetitive, repeating, practice, and then practice and repractice is what students need to do. As a teacher, guess what? You do that too. Because if you've been teaching for 15 years, you've been doing this stuff exponentially. If the student hears it one time, they just heard it one time, even 7 times, it's not enough. I would argue that they need to hear it 21 times, and then you need to revisit another 21 times to get it into their long-term memory, and then probably another 21 times to allow them to take this information and use it in a different situation. And that's throughout the school year. I would argue that you should probably ask ChatGPT to organize this where you could teach this over time, where you're integrating each one of these mathematical practices. Because if you overload children, they will have a little trouble with it. It is my hope that this is a tool that you use to help you become more efficient in helping students. Should it do the work for students? No. It can organize you. It can help you come up with better ideas. And quite honestly, once you use this a few times, you're going to start to see a pattern where you won't even need this. But it is a place that you can help you think about how to look at mathematics differently and how to help your students do really well in the classroom so that they can use the mathematics in different situations. And yes, I am a researcher and I am the director of research learning and data in a small school district in Southern California. And those state test scores, we do look at them. Why do we look at them? To help inform what we do differently the next year. So have fun with this. Tell me how you're using my mathematical practices guide that I created. It is my ChatGPT guide for the SMPs. It's in the description. Click on it, share it with other educators, and come back and subscribe before you leave, comment, and like this video. Thank you so much for watching.